To that end, Robert Hadad with Cornell Cooperative Extension, the vegetable program. Robert's done a lot of work looking at how to clean stuff that isn't meant to be clean or isn't designed to be clean. And so he's up next. Thanks, Robert.
Good morning. So, my current project, educating produce growers and workers in the farm food safety aspects of efficient, reasonable cleaning of washline equipment, just sort of like rolls off the tongue. And I just ran out of space to put more words in. But that's where I'm at currently. And it's being funded through Extension Risk Management Education. They've been very kind in their support of food safety educational projects. So I've been working with them quite closely over the years. But this whole project actually stems from a NECAFS funded project from a few years back, which was figuring out how to clean produce wash equipment that, as Chris said, just was not designed to come apart. I mean, some of these designs date back like 50, 60 years, and some of the wash equipment we've seen on farms probably hasn't been cleaned in that long. I purchased some equipment. We did the standard small-scale brush wash setup with a conveyor, the washer absorber. And we've also included in that, we've got a brand new barrel washer in there, and proceeded to identify where all this dirt and crud goes. I mean, some of the worst case scenarios on there is that it's not been clean, things dry on, it just gets layers and layers, and you can kind of do like an archaeological trace back of what went on there during the past seasons or so. And then following, kind of like what we do in food safety training on cleaning is, going through that whole 4-step method. So we want to brush it off, then we start rinsing. Well, immediately after we did our first rinse, we found that there was stuff going all over the place and going deeper and deeper inside of some of these machines, making it even harder to reach. So we wanted to identify what processes that would work for cleaning, what kind of tools that we could recommend. I mean, we started out, it seemed so simple back then, like 14, 15 years ago, doing a GAPS training, go clean your equipment. We're off the hook. And then farmers got wise to that and go, well, how? I don't know. And so instead of, that's kind of was leading us to get going on trying to figure out these questions and identify, we talk the talk, but do we walk it? And so now we've got to start really digging into that. I did research review, literature review, like Amanda was talking about, and there wasn't much out there. People just weren't looking at that. I went to trade shows, talked to the industry people, and they were all like, oh, come over here. I don't want to talk in front of farmers. We don't know how to clean these things either. And we have no plans on changing the equipment around. Well, now they're starting to. So one of the other things we needed to do was verify kind of, how clean is clean. I think the original title of my research project was Best Management Practices, and we quickly realized that we couldn't get to best. Best we can do is reasonable. And then the end product is that we would come out with checklists and all sorts of information we could give back to growers and run through these educational programs. One of the things we used to just try, I worked, one of my partners on this was a farmer who also had a background in mechanical engineering. So often in the off season, he'd come over and we would start working on this. And it was like, well, how do we measure this? How do we know that that all our scrubbing and everything is actually getting anywhere? So we used glow germ. We mixed it in with our produce and stuff and spread it through the machines. And then we could use a black light and look down into it and see, all right, here's the splash pattern. let's try this approach. We would clean, go back with the black light and go, we did a crappy job. And so this is how we work. It took us 2 years, trial and error, and then and monitoring what we were doing. And we would time it, we would see, and we kept very close records on there so that we could figure out just exactly what it takes to get to reasonably clean. So what our kind of our recommendations came out to be was that in the off season, we take some of these machines that are in really tough shape, and we would, we recommend doing a thorough or deep cleaning. It's like, try to take it apart, try to get into all those places that you can't do, really work on it, take the time. I mean, we're talking like 8, 10, 12 hours to really go through some of these things and get it into decent shape. It takes time to dig into it. We made some of our own tools to reach inside of some of these things. I don't know if you've seen some of the brush washers, they've got covers over the top. You can't reach in. You've got to screw, and they're riveted in, so you've got to screw out the rivets, remove the covers. And when I talked to the manufacturer, he goes, well, we put those there so people wouldn't put their hands in there. So there we go. So, we found, like with the brush washers, you've got 10 sets of brushes in there, and they each have like 50 or 60 bundles of bristles, and they're all like really gunky, like a horrible looking toothbrush. And how do you dig it out there? So we used from little like 1/16 of an inch diameter brush bottle washers, bottle brushes, to one of our best tools was a dryer vent brush. Long-handled, flexible. It had stiff bristles, and you could run them. You could run the brushes and start cleaning them with it on. That's not recommended. And one of the recommendations we came up with to the manufacturer was put variable speed on this machine, so that it would help making it clean. We could clean it easier. But the key is removing that dry, caked-on crud. And then we got to the absorber, those foam donuts. That was another miserable thing that we have to deal with. And we've heard some horror stories about people trying to clean these things, and there are some attempts by industry to fix these. So once you start with a fairly decent clean slate, then we go to the next phase, which we call maintenance or routine cleaning, and that's at the end of each day's use. That went over really well with growers. But we said, this is reality. This is what, you're faced with, either spending a short amount of time every day, or you're going to spend a lot of time really trying to get ahead of it, and maybe you might have some contamination in there. We explain biofilms and all of that to them. I hope that they get it. And from the questions I'm starting to get from growers who are calling, they understand this. And so one of the important things that we also learned in there was that once you clean it, quickly dry it down so that we eliminate the moisture that bacteria really likes in there. We thought that the thing that would take the shortest amount of time to figure out would be the barrel washer, but there was lots of places for stuff to hide inside of a wooden barrel washer. So I think really looking at new designs for this is going to be the bigger answer. But and this is brand new, and this had cracks and checks and all sorts of screw head places, and on the bands you can see in there, there's spaces underneath those bands. To really try, and then it's spinning around, we've got the water dripping through it. It was just like a biological nightmare, potentially. But at the end of the day, we came up with some really nice checklists that growers can follow. We have it up on our website, our Cornell Vegetable Team website. And then to the current time, right now, what we're doing is we're taking all that information and we're putting it into grower and worker trainings. We're going around and just talking to different farms, different groups of growers, either on per farm basis or in a classroom setup. And we're trying to really reach and customize this. So we're constantly upgrading and changing kind of like our process for education. You know, and you don't need to hear all of this stuff, but I mean, we start them off with prevention, you know, looking at what's going on in the field and really hammering home the assessing and minimizing risks and moving the products, and facility design is really important. It's amazing how many, even on the small grower size, are looking to redesign their facilities because they're looking for efficiencies, and they're also, all right, so if I'm going to go through that process, what can I do to help with food safety on that? And so this gives us opportunities to talk to them about, you know, trying different things and looking at these designs and, you know, putting something as simple as putting wheels with locks on them on a lot of the equipment and tables to move them around. You know, and then we go through the whole process of cleaning. How do we clean these things? And giving them hands-on examples where we can. If we're doing it on farm, we really go over the equipment that they have there. You know, looking at the different types of tools that we found that worked. I mean, you know, it's not rocket science, but there are some brushes that are better than others. There's some things that we really could get a hold of that did better jobs than others, like flexible shaft brushes that you can put into a cordless drill if you want to reach down into a 9-foot long wooden barrel washer. Just makes that job easier. Looking, you know, we're talking about detergents. I mean, one of the first questions, you know, we talk a lot about sanitizers. You're like, well, all right, so what kind of detergents should we be using? Well, that's kind of where we're at right now, trying to, you know, see what's out there, what's on the market, what's food grade, what's, you know, getting some recommendations for that. And so, you know, and then we also cover, you know, from hands, getting your hands washed properly can do a lot. Going through zone 1, zone 2, zone 4 and beyond, and that's where I think we've got to like give them the whole package, and I think they become very appreciative of that. So that's and like I said, we're constantly revising our training because somebody asked a question. It was like, oh, you know, yeah, I didn't really think about it in that way. I'm really looking forward to seeing this, you know, the results for the washing machine. We try to include that, and it was so deep that we decided to kind of, we just say, no, you can't clean them, and brush it off to the side and go on to something else. But I think, yeah, that's, you know, as growers are trying different things, trying to be competitive and innovative, we've got to be on top of it with them. So that's where I'm at. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Robert. And Robert, oh, is this your phone, Robert? It's Amanda's phone? Okay. Thank you. And the fact sheets that Robert mentioned are on the clearinghouse, so you can find those there. Yeah, go ahead, Betsy. While I'm pulling up Kevin's slides, go ahead.
This is a question for you. So with your stuff, you did achieve, though, with your efforts, you did achieve visually clean, correct?
Yes.
And that is the standard in the product safety group, currently.
That's right. With the closure, I mean, we could see immediately after we were going through, you know, we were trying some practices, and if something was blowing back in our face, we knew we didn't make it. So we were going. Okay. Yep. So we concentrated on the food contact surfaces, and then moved down from that. And there were lots of places in this equipment where it may have been a zone 2, but on, you know, if the machine is running and things are splashing, it could come back from zone 2 back up to zone 1. So that's where this glow germ stuff, as simple as that thing was really helpful for us to visibly see it. I mean, we don't recommend growers try that. I was hoping that that just if they can keep up with their daily maintenance cleaning, that they'd be able to keep ahead of the game.
Yeah, but those things like the dryer and brushes or something, the issue is achieving visually clean at this state, for me anyway.
Yeah.
Getting them to where they need to be for compliance if they're subject to visual.
Right.
Is the visually clean, and I think understanding those tools is really important that we see.
So I'll just reiterate what Betsy just said, that she said that getting to visually clean is important at this state, is to be in compliance with the rule and where we are at this state in the game. Go ahead, Don.
Yeah, so at the risk of taking us down to that hole, I mean, looking at how dirty these things are, I like the idea of going to visually clean, and I would say visually clean with a protective biofilm of things that are not pathogens, that will keep pathogens from harboring in those sites. That's easier said than done, and I don't know how you would implement that, but I would almost feel much more comfortable knowing that these things were colonized with a low level of stuff that doesn't like Listeria and Salmonella.
So Don said that he would like to see it colonized with a biofilm of non-harmful stuff, and that's easier said than done. Okay, great. Thank you so much, Robert. I appreciate it.